I walked into our cozy kitchen, exhausted from a long day at work, expecting to see Lisa's bright smile and maybe catch a whiff of one of her new healthy recipes. Instead, what greeted me was a note lying on the kitchen table. My heart sank as I read the neatly written words. Gone to a wellness seminar. Be back in 3 days. Lisa. It wasn't like Lisa to leave without discussing it with me first. Sure, she was always passionate about fitness and health, but this sudden departure felt off. I sighed, setting the note back down, and poured myself a glass of water, trying to shake off the uneasy feeling settling in my chest. As I sat alone at the table, my mind wandered back to the early days of our relationship. Lisa's energy was contagious. Her enthusiasm for a healthy lifestyle was one of the things that drew me to her. We spent countless weekends hiking, cooking nutritious meals, and sharing our dreams for the future. But lately things have changed. My demanding job often kept me late, and Lisa's interests seemed to shift deeper into her wellness world, a world I felt increasingly excluded from. 2 days passed and Lisa's texts were brief, her calls even briefer. Seminars, great. Lots to learn, she'd say, her voice sounding distant. I tried not to let my mind wander to dark places, but the change in her tone was undeniable. I pushed the thoughts away, convincing myself that I was overreacting. When Lisa finally came home, there was an unfamiliar coldness in her eyes. She greeted me with a quick hug, but her mind seemed elsewhere. I asked about the seminar, and she shared the details, but something felt off. There was a barrier between us that hadn't been there before. One evening, a few days after her return, I accidentally knocked her phone off the table. As I picked it up, a message flashed on the screen from someone named Tom. "Can't wait to see you again soon," it read. My heart pounded as I scrolled through the previous messages. They were flirtatious, filled with inside jokes, and shared moments from the seminar. It was clear this wasn't just a friendly conversation. I felt a surge of emotions, confusion, anger, and hurt. How could Lisa do this to me? To us? I couldn't confront her right away. I needed time to process and understand what had gone wrong. Days turned into sleepless nights as I wrestled with my thoughts. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. One evening, I confronted Lisa, my voice trembling with a mix of fear and anger. "Who is Tom?" I demanded. "What's going on between you two?" At first, she denied everything, her eyes wide with shock, but as I pressed on, the truth came tumbling out. She admitted to the affair, tears streaming down her face as she explained how lonely she'd felt, how Tom had been a distraction, a way to feel alive again. I felt like the ground had been ripped out from under me. I called Tom, needing to hear his side. He confirmed Lisa's story, but insisted it was just a fling, a moment of weakness. His words did nothing to soothe the pain. The betrayal cut deep. I couldn't look at Lisa without feeling a mix of love and anger. Our home, once filled with warmth and laughter, felt cold and foreign. I spent hours alone, reflecting on our relationship, trying to pinpoint where we had gone wrong. I realized I'd taken her for granted, allowing work to consume me, and leaving Lisa feeling neglected. One night we sat down for a heart-to-heart talk. Lisa opened up about her feelings of isolation, and I shared my regrets. It was a painful conversation, but it was also a start. We agreed to try and rebuild our marriage, seeking help from a family therapist to navigate the rocky path ahead. As I lay in bed that night staring at the ceiling, I couldn't help but wonder if we could ever truly recover. But for the first time in a long time, I felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, we could find our way back to each other. The days following our heart-wrenching conversation were a blur. The rawness of the betrayal lingered in the air, but there was a determination in both of us to piece our lives back together. Lisa and I made an appointment with a family therapist, hoping it would provide a roadmap for navigating this storm. Our first session with Dr. Mitchell was uncomfortable. We sat in her cozy office, surrounded by soft lighting and the scent of lavender. Lisa fidgeted with her hands, while I stared at the floor, unsure of how to begin. Dr. Mitchell gently encouraged us to share our thoughts and feelings. Lisa spoke first, her voice shaky but sincere. "I felt so alone," she said, tears welling up in her eyes. "You were always working late and I didn't know how to reach out to you. When I met Tom, he made me feel seen and valued." Her words stung, but I knew there was truth in them. I had thrown myself into my work, neglecting the very person who meant the world to me. I took a deep breath, my voice barely above a whisper. "I'm sorry, Lisa. I should have been there for you. I didn't realize how much distance had grown between us. Dr. Mitchell nodded, encouraging us to continue. Acknowledging these feelings is the first step. Now, let's work on rebuilding trust and understanding. The therapy sessions were grueling, each one peeling back layers of hurt and misunderstanding. We learned to communicate more openly and to express our needs and fears without judgment. It was a slow process, but gradually we began to find common ground. One evening, after a particularly intense session, Lisa and I decided to take a walk in the park where we had our first date. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the trees. As we strolled hand in hand, I felt a sense of nostalgia wash over me. "Do you remember the first time we came here?" I asked, smiling at the memory of our awkward yet endearing first date. Lisa nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "You brought a picnic basket filled with all my favorite foods. We talked for hours, just enjoying each other's company." "That was one of the best days of my life," I admitted. "I miss those moments, Lisa. I want to create new memories with you, to build a future together." Her grip on my hand tightened. "I want that too. I know it won't be easy, but I believe we can get through this." As we walked back home, I felt a glimmer of hope. The road to healing was long and uncertain, but for the first time in weeks, I believed it was possible. A few days later, Lisa suggested we try something new to strengthen our bond. "How about we take a cooking class together?" she proposed. "It could be a fun way to reconnect and spend quality time together." I agreed, and soon we found ourselves in a cozy kitchen studio, surrounded by other couples. The instructor, a jovial chef named Mark, guided us through the process of making a gourmet meal. We laughed as we fumbled with ingredients, sharing stolen glances and playful banter. For a few hours, the weight of our troubles lifted, replaced by the joy of shared experiences. Cooking became our new ritual, a way to reconnect and rediscover the joy in each other's company. We experimented with different cuisines, from Italian to Thai, each dish a testament to our commitment to rebuilding our relationship. One night, as we sat down to a homemade dinner, I looked at Lisa and felt a surge of gratitude. Despite everything, we were finding our way back to each other. The pain of the past still lingered, but it was no longer a barrier between us. Instead, it served as a reminder of our resilience and our willingness to fight for our love. The journey was far from over, but with each passing day, I grew more confident that we could overcome any obstacle. Together, we were learning to heal, to forgive, and to love anew. And for that, I was profoundly grateful. Weeks passed, and the rhythm of our new normal began to settle in. Lisa and I were making progress, bit by bit, repairing the damage that had been done. Our therapy sessions with Dr. Mitchell proved invaluable, and our cooking classes became a cherished routine. However, despite the positive steps, a part of me still struggled with the trust that had been broken. One Saturday afternoon, I decided to surprise Lisa with a picnic at the same park where we had our first date. I packed a basket with her favorite foods and a bottle of wine, hoping to rekindle some of the old magic. As we walked through the park, hand in hand, the sun shining down on us, it almost felt like old times. We found a secluded spot under a large oak tree, and I spread out a blanket. Lisa laughed as I pulled out the array of dishes I had prepared. "You've really outdone yourself," she said, her eyes sparkling with appreciation. "I just wanted to do something special for you," I replied, feeling a warmth spread through me at her smile. We ate and talked, reminiscing about our past and sharing hopes for the future. For a moment, it felt like nothing could go wrong. But then, as we were packing up to leave, I spotted a familiar face in the distance. It was Tom. He was jogging through the park, and he saw us before I could react. His expression shifted from surprise to something unreadable as he approached. "Hey, Lisa," Tom said, slightly out of breath. "I didn't expect to see you here." Lisa stiffened, her eyes darting to me and then back to Tom. "Tom, hi," she replied, her voice strained. "This is my husband, Jack." Tom extended a hand, his demeanor polite but tense. "Nice to meet you, Jack." I shook his hand, my grip firm. "Tom," I said curtly, trying to keep my emotions in check. The man standing before me was a painful reminder of the past I was desperately trying to move beyond. There was an awkward silence before Tom cleared his throat. "Well, I'll leave you two to it. Nice seeing you, Lisa. Take care." As he jogged away, I could feel the tension between Lisa and me thickening. We finished packing up in silence and walked back to the car. The drive home was quiet, the earlier joy of our picnic overshadowed by the unexpected encounter. That evening, as we sat on the couch, I finally broke the silence. "How are you feeling about seeing Tom today?" Lisa looked down, her fingers nervously tracing patterns on the couch fabric. It was unexpected. I didn't know how to react. Neither did I admitted. But it brought back a lot of feelings. I thought I was moving past it, but seeing him it hit me all over again. Lisa reached out and took my hand. "I'm sorry, Jack. I know it's hard. I'm committed to us, to rebuilding what we have. Tom was a mistake, and I regret it deeply, but I need you to know that you're the one I want to be with." Her words were sincere, and I could see the pain in her eyes. It was a moment of vulnerability that reminded me of why we were fighting so hard to mend our relationship. I squeezed her hand, trying to convey my support and understanding. "I believe you, Lisa. But we need to keep talking and keep working through this. I don't want to lose what we've started to rebuild." She nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. "I promise, Jack. We'll get through this together." As we embraced, I felt a renewed sense of determination. The road ahead was still fraught with challenges, but I was willing to face them head-on. Lisa and I had been through the fire, and we were emerging stronger and more resilient. The encounter with Tom had reopened old wounds, but it also reaffirmed our commitment to each other. We weren't just healing, we were growing, learning to navigate the complexities of our relationship with honesty and compassion. And in that moment, I knew we could overcome anything as long as we faced it together. The next few weeks were a roller coaster of emotions. Iti-san. While our commitment to rebuilding our relationship remained steadfast, the encounter with Tom had left its mark. I could see it in Lisa's eyes, in the way she hesitated before speaking, and in the moments of silence that stretched between us. We continued our therapy sessions with Dr. Mitchell, who encouraged us to confront our feelings head-on. "Healing isn't a linear process," she reminded us. "There will be setbacks, but it's how you handle them that matters." One evening, after a particularly intense session, I decided to open up about something that had been bothering me. As we sat in our living room, the soft glow of the fireplace casting shadows on the walls, I turned to Lisa. "There's something I need to tell you," I began, my voice trembling slightly. "I've been struggling with the idea of forgiveness. I want to move on, but there are times when I still feel so hurt and angry." Lisa looked at me, her eyes filled with empathy. "I understand, Jack. I know I've hurt you deeply, and I don't expect you to just forgive and forget. It's going to take time." "I appreciate that," I said, taking a deep breath. "But I think we need to find a way to address these feelings when they come up. Otherwise, they'll keep festering." Lisa nodded. "I agree. Maybe we can set aside some time each week to talk about how we're feeling, without judgment or defensiveness, just an open, honest conversation." "That sounds like a good idea," I replied, feeling a sense of relief. "I don't want to lose the progress we've made." Our weekly check-ins became a vital part of our healing process. We would sit down, often with a glass of wine, and talk about our feelings, our fears, and our hopes for the future. These conversations weren't always easy, but they were necessary. One night during one of these check-ins, Lisa brought up something that caught me off guard. "Jack, I've been thinking a lot about what Dr. Mitchell said about rediscovering our passions. I want to start painting again." I was surprised. Lisa had given up painting years ago, claiming she didn't have the time. "That's wonderful, Lisa. I didn't know you were still interested." "I've been thinking about it a lot lately," she said, her eyes lighting up. "It was something that always brought me joy, and I think it could be a way for me to reconnect with myself." "I think that's a great idea," I said, genuinely happy for her. "Maybe I could join you. I'm not much of an artist, but it could be something fun for us to do together." Lisa's smile was radiant. "I'd love that, Jack. It doesn't matter if you're good at it or not. It's about spending time together and finding joy in the process." We transformed a small corner of our living room into an art studio, complete with easels, canvases, and a rainbow of paints. Our painting sessions became a sanctuary, a place where we could express ourselves freely and find solace in each other's company. One evening, as we painted side by side, Lisa turned to me, her eyes filled with a mix of hope and vulnerability. "Jack, I know we've been through so much, and I'm grateful for your patience and understanding. I want you to know that I'm committed to us to making this work. I put down my brush and took her hand. I know, Lisa, and I'm committed too. We've come a long way, and I believe we can keep moving forward. Our journey was far from over, but with each passing day, we grew stronger. We learned to navigate the complexities of our relationship with grace and resilience. There were still moments of doubt and pain, but they were tempered by the love and trust we were rebuilding. The encounter with Tom had been a wake-up call, a reminder of the fragility of trust, but it also reaffirmed our commitment to each other. We were not just surviving, we were thriving, finding new ways to connect and grow together. As I looked at Lisa, her face illuminated by the soft glow of our living room lights, I felt a deep sense of gratitude. We had weathered the storm, and though there were still challenges ahead, I knew we could face them together. Our love, though tested, had emerged stronger, and I was determined to cherish and nurture it every day. The following weeks were marked by a sense of renewed hope. Lisa and I had found a rhythm that worked for us, balancing therapy, painting, and our newfound commitment to open communication. However, the shadows of the past still loomed, and there were moments when the pain would resurface, unbidden and sharp. One such moment came unexpectedly. I was at work, going through a stack of reports when my phone buzzed with a text message. It was from an unknown number, and my heart skipped a beat as I opened it. "Hey Jack, can we talk?" "Tom." My first instinct was to ignore it, but something in his message compelled me to respond. I needed closure, and perhaps this conversation could provide it. I texted back, agreeing to meet him at a nearby coffee shop after work. As I walked into the coffee shop, I spotted Tom sitting at a corner table, a look of unease on his face. He stood up as I approached, extending a hand. I shook it, my grip firm but controlled. "Thanks for meeting me," Tom said, his voice tentative. "I know this is awkward, but I felt like we needed to talk." I nodded, taking a seat across from him. "What do you want to talk about, Tom?" He took a deep breath. "First, I want to apologize. I never meant to cause so much pain, Lisa and I. It was a mistake. I realize that now." Hearing him acknowledge his wrongdoing brought a strange mix of relief and anger. "I appreciate your apology, but it doesn't erase what happened. You played a part in breaking my marriage." "I know," Tom said, his eyes sincere. "And I'm truly sorry for that. I've done a lot of soul-searching since then, and I want to make amends if that's possible." "How do you propose to do that?" I asked, skeptical but curious. "By staying out of your lives," he replied. "I've decided to leave the city and start fresh somewhere else. I think it's the best way to give you and Lisa the space you need to heal." I considered his words, feeling a weight lift slightly from my shoulders. That would be appreciated. We're trying to move forward, and it's hard to do that with constant reminders of the past. Tom nodded, looking relieved. "I wish you both the best, Jack. Truly. And again, I'm sorry." With that, we stood up and shook hands once more. As I left the coffee shop, I felt a sense of closure, knowing that Tom would no longer be a presence in our lives. When I got home, I told Lisa about the meeting. She listened quietly, her eyes reflecting a mix of emotions. "How do you feel about it?" she asked. "Relieved, I guess," I admitted. "It's good to know he's leaving. It's one less thing for us to worry about." Lisa nodded, taking my hand. "I'm glad you talked to him. It means a lot to me that you're willing to confront these things head on." That night, we painted together in silence, each of us lost in our thoughts. It was a comforting silence, filled with the understanding that we were both committed to moving forward. The following weekend, we decided to take a short trip to the countryside, a chance to escape the city and focus on each other. We found a charming bed and breakfast nestled in the hills, surrounded by rolling green fields and wildflowers. It was the perfect place to reconnect and find peace. On our second day there, we took a hike through a nearby forest. The trail was quiet and serene, the air filled with the scent of pine and the sounds of birdsong. As we walked, Lisa turned to me, a thoughtful expression on her face. "Jack, I've been thinking a lot about us, about everything we've been through," she said. "I know we still have a long way to go, but I feel hopeful. Being here with you, away from everything, reminds me of why I fell in love with you in the first place." I stopped, taking her hands in mine. "I feel the same way, Lisa. This trip, our time together, has reminded me of what's truly important. I love you, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make this work." Tears welled up in her eyes as she smiled. I love you too, Jack, more than anything. We continued our hike, hand in hand, each step a testament to our resilience and commitment to one another. The past still lingered, but it no longer had the power to define us. We were forging a new path, one filled with hope, love, and the promise of a brighter future. As we stood on a hilltop, overlooking the vast expanse of countryside, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. We had faced our demons, and though the journey was far from over, I knew we had the strength to see it through. Together we watched the sunset, the sky painted with hues of orange and pink. It was a new beginning, a chance to heal and grow, side by side. And in that moment, I knew we were on the right path, one step at a time. Returning from our trip, Lisa and I felt a renewed sense of connection and determination. We knew that our journey was far from over, but the break had given us the strength and clarity to face the challenges ahead. The first step was to rebuild trust, a foundation that had been severely shaken but not entirely destroyed. One evening, as we were preparing dinner together, Lisa turned to me, her expression serious. Jack, I think it's time we start addressing the deeper issues. We've been doing well with therapy and our new routines, but I know there are still things we need to talk about. I nodded, sensing the gravity of her words. You're right. We need to confront the things we've been avoiding if we want to truly move forward. We decided to set aside a dedicated time each week to have these deeper conversations. We called it our honesty hour, a time when we could talk openly about our fears, our doubts, and our hopes without judgment. It was a safe space where we could be vulnerable with each other. Our first honesty hour was both cathartic and painful. We sat across from each other in the living room, the soft glow of the candles creating an intimate atmosphere. Lisa took a deep breath, her hands trembling slightly. I've been thinking a lot about why I did what I did, she began, her voice shaky. It wasn't just about feeling lonely. It was about feeling disconnected from you, from us. I felt like we were drifting apart, and I didn't know how to bridge the gap. Her words stung, but I knew they were necessary for our healing. I understand, Lisa. I felt the distance too. I was so focused on work and providing for us that I lost sight of what really mattered. I should have been more present. We talked for hours, uncovering layers of hurt and misunderstanding that had accumulated over the years. It was exhausting, but also liberating. Each conversation brought us closer, helping us to understand each other's perspectives and emotions. As the weeks went by, our honesty hours became a cornerstone of our relationship. We learned to communicate more effectively, to listen without interrupting, and to empathize with each other's experiences. The trust that had been broken slowly began to mend, thread by thread. One evening, after a particularly intense honesty hour, Lisa suggested we try something new to reinforce our bond. How about we take a weekend trip to a cabin in the mountains? She proposed. A place where we can unplug from everything and just focus on us. I agreed, and soon we found ourselves driving up winding mountain roads, the air growing crisper and the scenery more breathtaking with each mile. The cabin was nestled in a secluded spot, surrounded by towering pines and a sparkling lake. It was the perfect retreat. The first night, we sat by the fireplace, sipping hot cocoa and enjoying the silence. It felt like a world away from the chaos of our daily lives. As the fire crackled, Lisa leaned her head on my shoulder. This is nice, she murmured. I feel like we're finally finding our way back to each other. I feel it too, I replied, kissing the top of her head. Being here, away from everything, it reminds me of what's important. Us. The next day we hiked through the woods, marveling at the beauty of nature. We talked and laughed, the weight of the past few months lifting with each step. At the top of a ridge, we stopped to take in the view, the vast expanse of forest stretching out before us. It's amazing how small our problems seem up here, Lisa said, her eyes reflecting the endless horizon. Perspective, I agreed. Sometimes we get so caught up in our struggles that we forget to see the bigger picture. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, we made our way back to the cabin. We spent the evening cooking dinner together, enjoying the simple pleasures of life. It was a reminder that despite the challenges we faced, there was still so much to be grateful for. Back home, we continued to build on the progress we had made. Our honesty hours remained a crucial part of our routine, and our weekend retreats became a regular occurrence. We also began exploring new activities together, from dancing classes to volunteer work, finding joy in shared experiences. One evening, as we were painting in our makeshift studio, Lisa turned to me, her eyes shining with emotion. "Jack, I want you to know how much I appreciate everything you've done. Your patience, your forgiveness, your love. I don't take any of it for granted." "I appreciate you too, Lisa," I replied, my heart full. "We've been through so much, but it's made us stronger. I'm proud of us." Our journey was far from over, but with each passing day, we grew more confident in our ability to navigate the challenges together. The past still lingered, but it no longer defined us. We were creating a new narrative, one built on trust, love, and resilience. As I looked at Lisa, her face illuminated by the soft glow of the studio lights, I felt a deep sense of contentment. We had weathered the storm, and though there were still obstacles ahead, I knew we could face them together. Our love, though tested, had emerged stronger, and I was determined to cherish and nurture it every day. Life had settled into a rhythm that felt both new and familiar. Lisa and I continued to strengthen our bond, our trust slowly rebuilding with each honest hour and shared experience. However, as with any journey of healing, unexpected turns can arise, testing the resilience of the path forward. One crisp autumn morning, Lisa and I were having breakfast together, discussing our plans for the weekend. We had planned another weekend retreat, this time to a cozy bed and breakfast by the ocean. As we chatted, Lisa's phone buzzed on the table. She glanced at it, and her face paled. "Who is it?" I asked, sensing her unease. It's Tom," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "He wants to meet, says it's urgent." A flood of emotions washed over me, a mix of anger, confusion, and apprehension. Why would he want to meet? I thought he left the city. Lisa looked at me, her eyes filled with worry. "I don't know, but maybe we should hear him out. It might be important." Despite my reservations, I agreed. We arranged to meet Tom that afternoon at a coffee shop near the edge of town. As we walked in, I could see him sitting at a corner table, looking anxious and worn. "Thank you for coming," Tom said as we sat down. "I know this is unexpected, but I need to tell you something." "What is it, Tom?" Lisa asked, her voice steady. Tom took a deep breath. "I'm leaving for good this time. I got a job offer in another state, and I'm taking it. But before I go, I need to apologize to you, Lisa. I've done a lot of reflecting, and I realize how much I hurt you both. I was selfish, and I regret it deeply." Lisa nodded, her expression softening slightly. "Thank you, Tom. I appreciate you saying that. I hope you find what you're looking for." Tom then turned to me, his eyes sincere. "Jack, I know my presence has been a source of pain for you. I want you to know that I'm truly sorry. I'm leaving because I want to give you both the space to heal without my shadow hanging over you." I studied Tom for a moment, seeing the regret and resolve in his eyes. "Thank you for telling us, Tom. I hope you find peace and happiness wherever you go." We parted ways amicably, and as Lisa and I walked back to the car, I felt a sense of closure. Tom's departure felt like the final piece of a painful chapter, allowing us to fully focus on our future. That weekend, as we sat by the ocean, watching the waves crash against the shore, I felt a deep sense of peace. "This feels like a new beginning," I said, holding Lisa's hand. "It does," she replied, leaning her head on my shoulder. "We've come so far, and I'm so grateful for every step we've taken together." Our retreat by the ocean was a time of reflection and renewal. We walked along the beach, collected seashells, and talked about our dreams for the future. It was a reminder of the strength of our bond and the resilience of our love. Back home, we continued to build on the progress we had made. Our honesty hours remained a crucial part of our routine, and our weekend retreats became a regular occurrence. We also began exploring new activities together, from dancing classes to volunteer work, finding joy in shared experiences. One evening, as we were painting in our makeshift studio, Lisa turned to me, her eyes shining with emotion. "Jack, I want you to know how much I appreciate everything you've done, your patience, your forgiveness, your love. I don't take any of it for granted." "I appreciate you too, Lisa," I replied, my heart full. "We've been through so much, but it's made us stronger. I'm proud of us." Our journey was far from over, but with each passing day, We grew more confident in our ability to navigate the challenges together. The past still lingered, but it no longer defined us. We were creating a new narrative, one built on trust, love, and resilience. As I looked at Lisa, her face illuminated by the soft glow of the studio lights, I felt a deep sense of contentment. We had weathered the storm, and though there were still obstacles ahead, I knew we could face them together. Our love, though tested, had emerged stronger, and I was determined to cherish and nurture it every day. But just as we were finding our new normal, life threw us another curveball. One evening, Lisa came home with a look of uncertainty on her face. She handed me a small envelope, her hands trembling. "I found this in the mailbox today," she said quietly. I opened the envelope to find a letter from an unfamiliar name. As I read it, my heart sank. The letter was from a woman claiming to be Tom's ex-girlfriend. She wrote about discovering that she was pregnant and that Tom had left without knowing. She didn't know where else to turn and hoped we could help her find him. The past we thought we had left behind was once again knocking on our door. As Lisa and I sat down to process the news, I realized that our journey was far from over. There would always be challenges and unexpected turns, but I knew that together, we could face whatever came our way. And so we braced ourselves for the next chapter, determined to continue rebuilding our trust and love, no matter what obstacles lay ahead. The letter from Tom's ex-girlfriend hung over us like a storm cloud. Lisa and I spent the night talking about what to do, the weight of the decision pressing heavily on our minds. By morning, we had agreed to reach out to her and offer our support, despite the potential complications. Lisa drafted a response explaining our situation and offering to help her find Tom. We sent it off and waited, each passing day filled with a sense of unease. A week later, we received a reply. Her name was Rebecca, and she was desperate for any information that could lead her to Tom. "Should we involve Dr. Mitchell in this?" Lisa asked one evening as we prepared dinner. "She might have some advice on how to handle this." "I think that's a good idea," I replied. "We've come so far in rebuilding our trust. We need to make sure we navigate this carefully." In our next session, we brought up the situation with Dr. Mitchell. She listened intently, her expression thoughtful. "This is a complex situation," she said. "You're right to approach it cautiously. Your primary focus should be on maintaining the progress you've made in your relationship. Offering help is commendable, but it's important to set boundaries to protect yourselves." With Dr. Mitchell's guidance, we reached out to Rebecca again, setting up a meeting at a neutral location. We chose a quiet park where we could talk openly without distractions. When the day came, Lisa and I arrived early, sitting on a bench beneath a large oak tree. Rebecca arrived a few minutes later, looking nervous but determined. She was young, probably in her mid-20s, with dark hair pulled back into a ponytail and tired eyes that spoke of sleepless nights and constant worry. "Thank you for meeting with me," she said, her voice trembling. "I didn't know who else to turn to." "We're glad you reached out," Lisa said gently. "We want to help, but we also need to protect our own relationship. We've been through a lot." Rebecca nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. "I understand. I'm so sorry to bring this into your lives. I need to find Tom. He needs to know about the baby." I could see the desperation in her eyes, and it tugged at my heart. "Do you have any idea where he might be?" I asked. She shook her head. "No. The last I heard, he was planning to leave the state. I've tried everything to find him, but I've had no luck." "We'll help you however we can," Lisa said. "But we need to be careful. Our primary focus is on healing and rebuilding our trust." Rebecca nodded again, wiping away her tears. "I appreciate that. Any help you can offer is more than I have right now." We exchanged contact information and promised to stay in touch. As Rebecca left, I turned to Lisa. "This is going to be challenging, isn't it?" Lisa sighed, leaning her head on my shoulder. "Yes, but we'll face it together. We've come this far, and I believe we can handle anything as long as we're united." Over the next few weeks, we balanced our efforts to help Rebecca with our own healing process. We continued our honesty hours, therapy sessions, and weekend retreats, making sure to prioritize our relationship above all else. Meanwhile, we used every resource we could think of to track down Tom, hoping to bring some closure to Rebecca's situation. One evening, as Lisa and I were painting together, my phone buzzed with a call from an unknown number. I answered it, my heart racing. "Jack, it's Tom," I froze, not expecting to hear his voice. Tom? Where are you? I'm in Oregon, he said. I've been trying to start over. What's going on? I took a deep breath, glancing at Lisa. We need to talk. There's something important you need to know. After a brief pause, Tom agreed to meet us halfway, in a small town in Northern California. The drive there was filled with a mix of anxiety and hope, and both Lisa and I were unsure of what to expect. When we arrived, Tom was waiting for us in a quiet diner. He looked different, more worn, but also more at peace. As we sat down, I wasted no time. Tom, we received a letter from a woman named Rebecca. She says she's pregnant with your child. Tom's eyes widened in shock. What? I had no idea. How is she? She's scared and looking for you, Lisa said gently. She wants you to know about the baby. Tom buried his face in his hands, taking a moment to process the news. I need to see her. I need to make this right. We'll help you get in touch with her, I said. But you need to understand that we're also trying to heal. We need to set boundaries. I understand, Tom replied, his voice filled with sincerity. I've caused enough pain already. I'll do whatever it takes to make this right, without causing more harm. With that, we arranged for Tom to contact Rebecca directly. As we drove back home, Lisa and I felt a sense of closure. The past had resurfaced unexpectedly, but we had faced it together, our bond growing stronger with each challenge. Back in our living room, we sat in silence for a while, reflecting on the journey we had taken. Finally, Lisa spoke. We did the right thing, didn't we? Yes, I said, taking her hand. We did, and whatever comes next, we'll face it together. As we continued to navigate the complexities of our relationship, I knew that we had the strength to overcome any obstacle. Our love, tested and resilient, was a beacon of hope guiding us through the darkest of times. And with each step forward, we were building a future rooted in trust, honesty, and unwavering support. The weeks following our meeting with Tom were filled with cautious optimism. We had provided him with Rebecca's contact information, and the two of them were working out the next steps for their situation. Lisa and I, meanwhile, continued to focus on our own relationship, determined not to let the past overshadow our progress. One Saturday morning, we received an unexpected invitation in the mail. It was from Tom and Rebecca, inviting us to a small gathering to celebrate their new beginning. They were planning to move in together and wanted to thank us for our support. Do you think we should go? Lisa asked, holding the invitation thoughtfully. I hesitated. It could be a good opportunity for closure. Seeing them move forward might help us too. You're right, Lisa agreed. We've come so far. It might be healing for us to see them starting fresh. When the day arrived, we drove to Rebecca's apartment with a mixture of anticipation and apprehension. As we entered the cozy space, filled with the warmth of new beginnings, we were greeted by Tom and Rebecca, their faces alight with hope. Thank you for coming, Rebecca said, embracing us both. We owe so much to you. It means a lot that you're here, Tom added, shaking my hand firmly. You've given us a chance to start over. The evening was filled with laughter, heartfelt conversations, and a sense of community. Watching Tom and Rebecca interact, I saw a different side of him, a man who was genuinely trying to make amends and build a better future. As the night drew to a close, Lisa and I stepped outside for some fresh air. The stars were bright overhead, and the cool breeze carried a sense of renewal. I'm glad we came, Lisa said, leaning against me. Seeing them like this, it gives me hope. Me too, I replied, wrapping my arm around her. We've all been through so much, but we're stronger because of it. With a newfound sense of closure, Lisa and I returned home, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Our journey taught us the importance of resilience, forgiveness, and the power of love to heal even the deepest wounds. In the weeks that followed, we continued to nurture our relationship, finding joy in the simple moments and cherishing the bond we had rebuilt. We took up new hobbies together, from gardening to cooking, and even started planning a future filled with shared dreams and adventures. One sunny afternoon, as we were planting flowers in our garden, Lisa turned to me with a thoughtful expression. Jack, I've been thinking, what if we expanded our family? Her words took me by surprise, but as I looked into her eyes, I saw a deep longing and hope. You mean, having a child? Yes, she said, her voice filled with emotion. I feel like we're in such a good place now. I want to create a future with you, one filled with love and new beginnings. I smiled, feeling a warmth spread through my chest. I love the idea, Lisa. Let's do it. Let's build our future together. With that decision, we embarked on a new chapter of our journey. We visited doctors, planned, and dreamed of the family we would create. Each step brought us closer, reinforcing the love and trust we had worked so hard to rebuild. Months later, on a crisp autumn day, we received the news we had been hoping for. Lisa was pregnant. The joy and excitement we felt were indescribable, a testament to the strength of our bond and the resilience of our love. As we prepared for the arrival of our child, we reflected on the journey that had brought us to this point. The challenges, the pain, and the healing had all led us here, to a place of hope and new beginnings. One evening, as we sat together in the nursery, painting the walls with soft pastel colors, Lisa turned to me with tears in her eyes. "I never thought we'd come this far, Jack. I'm so grateful for everything we've been through. It's made us who we are." I took her hand, feeling a deep sense of contentment. "Me too, Lisa. We've faced so much, but it's brought us here, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for us and our family." As we continued to prepare for our new arrival, we knew that the journey ahead would be filled with its own challenges and joys. But with each step, we were reminded of the strength of our love, a love that had weathered the storm and emerged stronger than ever. And so we looked forward to the future with hope and anticipation, ready to embrace the new horizons that lay ahead. Together, we had built a foundation of trust and resilience, and with that foundation, we knew we could face anything that came our way. As Lisa's pregnancy progressed, our lives began to revolve around preparations for the baby's arrival. We attended parenting classes, read countless books, and transformed our spare room into a cozy nursery. Each step brought us closer together, and the anticipation of becoming parents filled our hearts with joy. One evening, as we sat on the couch, Lisa resting her head on my shoulder, she looked up at me with a soft smile. "Jack, I've been thinking about names. Do you have any preferences?" I chuckled. "I have a few in mind, but I'd love to hear yours first." Lisa's eyes sparkled with excitement. "What do you think about Ethan for a boy and Chloe for a girl?" "Ethan and Chloe," I repeated, letting the names roll off my tongue. "I love them. They feel right." As the months passed, we continued to dream and plan for our future. One sunny afternoon, we received a call from Rebecca. She and Tom had welcomed their baby girl Grace into the world and wanted us to be her godparents. It was an unexpected honor, one that filled us with a deep sense of connection and hope. "We'd be honored," Lisa said, her voice trembling with emotion. "Thank you for including us in your family." Rebecca's voice was filled with gratitude. "You've been such an important part of our journey. We couldn't imagine anyone else as her godparents." As we celebrated the birth of Grace, our excitement for our own child grew. We spent countless hours imagining what our baby would be like, dreaming of the adventures we would share as a family. One crisp winter evening, as snowflakes gently fell outside, Lisa began to experience contractions. The realization that our baby was on the way filled us with a mix of nerves and exhilaration. We quickly grabbed the hospital bag and headed to the car, our hearts racing with anticipation. The drive to the hospital felt surreal, the world outside a blur of twinkling lights and falling snow. As we arrived, the staff quickly ushered us into a delivery room, and the reality of the moment began to sink in. Hours passed, filled with a whirlwind of emotions. Lisa's strength and determination were awe-inspiring, and I held her hand tightly, offering words of encouragement and love. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the sound of our baby's first cry filled the room, a beautiful, life-affirming sound. "It's a boy," the doctor announced, placing our tiny, wriggling son into Lisa's arms. Tears streamed down our faces as we looked at our newborn son, overwhelmed with love and gratitude. "Welcome to the world, Ethan," I whispered, gently touching his soft cheek. Lisa looked at me, her eyes shining with tears and joy. "We did it, Jack. We're a family." In the days that followed, our home was filled with the sounds of Ethan's tiny cries and coos. Each moment was a precious gift, a reminder of the journey that had brought us here. We navigated the challenges of new parenthood together, finding strength and comfort in each other's presence. One evening, as we rocked Ethan to sleep, Lisa turned to me with a contented smile. I feel like everything we've been through has led us to this moment. It's all been worth it. I nodded, my heart full. Absolutely. Our love, our struggles, our healing, it's all brought us to this incredible place. I wouldn't change a thing. As Ethan drifted off to sleep, Lisa and I sat together in the quiet of the nursery, holding each other close. The future stretched out before us, filled with endless possibilities and the promise of new beginnings. We knew that life would continue to bring its challenges, but we also knew that we were stronger together. Our journey taught us the power of resilience, forgiveness, and unwavering love. With each passing day, our bond grew deeper, and our commitment to each other and our family became unbreakable. And so we embraced this new chapter with open hearts and minds, ready to face whatever came our way. Together, we had weathered the storm and emerged stronger, united by a love that had been tested and proven true. As we looked into the eyes of our beautiful son, we knew that the best was yet to come. Life, with all its twists and turns, has led us to this moment of pure joy and fulfillment. With Lisa by my side, I was ready to embrace every challenge and celebrate every triumph, knowing that our love would guide us through it all. As the snow continued to fall outside, blanketing the world in a peaceful hush, I held my family close, grateful for the journey that had brought us here and excited for the adventure that lay ahead. Together, we would face the future with hope, courage, and a love that would endure forever. The first few months with Ethan were a whirlwind of sleepless nights, diaper changes, and tiny milestones that filled our hearts with joy. Lisa and I found a rhythm, supporting each other through the challenges of new parenthood. Our relationship, already strengthened by the trials we had faced, deepened even further as we navigated this new chapter together. One evening after putting Ethan to bed, Lisa and I sat on the porch, sipping tea and enjoying the peacefulness of the night. The moon cast a gentle glow over the yard, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of blooming flowers. "Do you remember our honesty hours?" Lisa asked, a nostalgic smile playing on her lips. "Of course," I replied. "They were a turning point for us, a way to rebuild trust and connect on a deeper level." Lisa nodded. "I've been thinking, maybe we should bring them back, but in a new way. Not because we need to repair anything, but to keep growing together." "I love that idea," I said, squeezing her hand. "How about we set aside time every week to talk about our dreams and goals? A way to keep us connected and focused on our future." Lisa's eyes lit up. "Yes, that sounds perfect. Let's start tonight." And so we began our weekly dream sessions, a time to share our hopes, aspirations, and plans for the future. It became a cherished ritual, a way to stay aligned and supportive of each other's dreams. One night, as we sat in our cozy living room, Lisa turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Jack, I've been thinking about going back to work. Not full-time, but maybe part-time. I miss my career, and I think it would be good for me to have that balance." I smiled, feeling a surge of pride. "I think that's a great idea. You've always been so passionate about your work. We can figure out a way to make it work with Ethan." Lisa's eyes sparkled with gratitude. "Thank you for supporting me. And what about you? Any dreams or goals you've been thinking about?" I took a deep breath, feeling a mix of excitement and apprehension. "I've been thinking about starting my own business, something that would allow me to have more flexibility and spend more time with you and Ethan." Lisa's face lit up with excitement. "That's amazing, Jack. What kind of business?" "I'm not entirely sure yet," I admitted, "but I want it to be something meaningful, something that makes a difference." Lisa reached out and took my hand. "Whatever it is, I believe in you. We'll figure it out together." As the weeks went by, we both began to take steps towards our goals. Lisa found a part-time position that allowed her to balance work and motherhood, and I started researching business ideas and networking with potential mentors. Our dream sessions continued to be a source of inspiration and motivation, a reminder of the shared vision that guided our journey. One sunny afternoon, while playing with Ethan in the park, I had a moment of clarity. Watching him laugh and explore the world around him, I realized that I wanted to create a business that focused on family wellness, a space where families could come together, find support, and connect with resources to enhance their well-being. That evening, I shared my idea with Lisa. "What do you think about starting a family wellness center? A place where families can find support, attend workshops, and connect with each other?" Lisa's eyes widened with excitement. I love it, Jack. It's perfect. We could even incorporate some of the principles we've learned on our own journey. Trust, communication, resilience. With Lisa's enthusiastic support, I began to develop a business plan, reaching out to professionals in the wellness industry and securing funding. The process was challenging and exhilarating, and every step brought me closer to making my dream a reality. As the Family Wellness Center began to take shape, Lisa and I continued to prioritize our relationship and our family. We made time for regular date nights, took weekend trips to explore new places, and created traditions that filled our home with love and laughter. One evening, as we sat in the newly opened wellness center, looking out at the families enjoying the space, Lisa turned to me with tears in her eyes. Jack, look at what we've created. It's everything we dreamed of and more. I wrapped my arm around her, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. We did it together, Lisa, and this is just the beginning. Our journey had been filled with challenges and triumphs, but through it all, our love had remained steadfast. As we looked towards the future, we knew that we could face anything as long as we had each other. Ethan, now a curious toddler, toddled over to us, his eyes wide with wonder. Mama, Dada, look, he said, holding up a colorful drawing he had made in one of the center's art classes. Lisa and I exchanged a smile, our hearts swelling with pride and love. That's beautiful, Ethan, Lisa said, scooping him up into her arms. You're so talented. As we embraced, surrounded by the vibrant energy of the Wellness Center, I felt a deep sense of gratitude. Our journey had brought us here, to a place of joy, fulfillment, and endless possibilities. With Lisa and Ethan by my side, I knew that the future would be bright, no matter what challenges lay ahead. Together, we had built a life filled with love, trust, and resilience, a life that was truly our own. And as we continued to dream and grow, I was excited for all the new adventures that awaited us, knowing that our love would guide us through it all. Life at the Family Wellness Center flourished. The community embraced it, and families found a sanctuary where they could grow closer and support each other. Lisa and I took pride in what we had built, and our weekly dream sessions continued to shape our future. One late spring afternoon, while we were setting up for a parenting workshop, Lisa's phone buzzed with a text message. She glanced at it, and her face paled. It's my mom, she said, her voice trembling. She's been admitted to the hospital. They think it's a stroke. My heart sank. Lisa's parents had always been a source of support for us. Let's go, I said immediately. We need to be there. We quickly handed over the responsibilities for the workshop to our capable staff and rushed to the hospital. The drive was filled with an anxious silence, each of us lost in our thoughts. When we arrived, Lisa's father was waiting for us in the lobby, his face etched with worry. She's stable, he said, his voice wavering, but they're still running tests. Lisa hugged him tightly, tears streaming down her face. We're here now, Dad. We'll get through this together. The next few days were a blur of hospital visits, consultations with doctors, and waiting. Lisa's mother, Helen, had suffered a moderate stroke. While she was out of immediate danger, her recovery would be long and challenging. One evening, as we sat by Helen's bedside, Lisa turned to me. Jack, I think we need to move in with my parents for a while. They'll need help, and I want to be there for them. I nodded, understanding the gravity of her request. Of course, Lisa. We'll do whatever it takes to support them. We can manage the wellness center from there and make sure it runs smoothly. Lisa's eyes filled with gratitude. Thank you, Jack. I know it's a lot to ask, but I can't do this without you. We made the necessary arrangements, shifting some of our responsibilities at the wellness center to our trusted team and packing up essentials for an extended stay at Lisa's parents' house. Moving back into her childhood home brought a mix of emotions for Lisa, but she remained steadfast in her determination to help her parents. The weeks that followed were both challenging and rewarding. We adapted to our new routine, balancing our roles as caregivers, parents, and business owners. Helen's recovery was slow but steady, and she drew strength from having her family around her. Ethan, with his boundless energy and infectious laughter, became a source of joy and motivation for everyone. One afternoon, while Ethan napped and Lisa was helping her mom with physical therapy exercises, I took a moment to reflect in the quiet of the backyard. The weight of our responsibilities felt heavy, but there was also a profound sense of purpose. We were doing this together, as a family, and that was all that mattered. Lisa joined me a little while later, looking tired but determined. "How are you holding up?" she asked, sitting beside me on the weathered bench. "I'm okay," I replied, taking her hand. "It's a lot, but we're managing. How about you?" She sighed, leaning her head on my shoulder. "It's hard, Jack, seeing my mom like this, trying to balance everything. But having you here makes all the difference. I couldn't do this without you." We sat in companionable silence for a while, drawing strength from each other. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the garden, Lisa turned to me with a small smile. "You know, I've been thinking about our dream sessions. We haven't had one in a while." I nodded. "You're right. It's been hard to find the time, but maybe we can do it now. What do you think?" Lisa's smile grew. "I think that's a great idea. Let's talk about our dreams, even if they need to be adjusted for now." We spent the next hour sharing our thoughts, hopes, and fears. It was a reminder of the strength of our bond and the importance of staying connected, even in the midst of chaos. We talked about our vision for the Wellness Center, our hopes for Helen's recovery, and our dreams for Ethan's future. As we wrapped up our session, Lisa looked at me with a renewed sense of determination. "We'll get through this, Jack. Together we can handle anything." I squeezed her hand, feeling a surge of love and pride. "Absolutely, Lisa. We're a team, and nothing can break us." In the following months, we continued to support Helen's recovery while managing the Wellness Center from afar. It wasn't easy, but our commitment to each other and our family kept us going. Helen's progress, though slow, was steady, and she began to regain some of her independence. One evening, as we prepared dinner together, Lisa turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "You know, Jack, I've been thinking, maybe we could incorporate a caregiver support program at the Wellness Center. There are so many families going through what we are, and they could use the support." I smiled, inspired by her idea. "That's a fantastic idea, Lisa. We've learned so much from this experience. Sharing that knowledge could help so many others." As we discussed the details, I realized that even in the face of challenges, our dreams continued to evolve and grow. The Family Wellness Center, born out of our own journey of healing, would now expand to support others facing similar trials. Life had thrown us an unexpected curveball, but together, we navigated it with grace and resilience. Our love, tested and strengthened by each challenge, remained the foundation of our journey. And with every step, we moved forward with hope, knowing that as long as we had each other, we could overcome anything. The caregiver support program at the Wellness Center took shape quickly. Lisa's firsthand experience with her mother's recovery fueled her passion, and our team was eager to help. We developed workshops, support groups, and resources tailored to caregivers, creating a compassionate community within our Wellness Center. As Helen's recovery progressed, she began to regain her independence. Watching her determination and resilience inspired us all. Ethan, now a curious and lively toddler, brought joy and laughter to every room, his presence a constant reminder of the beauty and innocence of life. One evening, as we settled into the living room after dinner, Helen turned to us with a serious expression. "I've been thinking a lot about my future," she began, "and I want you to know how grateful I am for everything you've done. But it's time for me to start taking back my independence." Lisa looked at her mother, tears welling up in her eyes. "Mom, you've come so far. We're so proud of you." Helen smiled warmly. "Thank you, sweetheart. But I also want you to focus on your own lives. You've done so much for me, and I want you to return to your dreams and plans." I nodded in agreement. "We'll always be here to support you, Helen, but we also know how important it is for you to regain your independence." Over the next few weeks, we worked together to ensure Helen had everything she needed to continue her recovery. We set up a network of local support and made arrangements for regular check-ins. It was a bittersweet transition, but we knew it was the right step for everyone. Returning to our home and the Wellness Center felt like a new beginning. We had grown and learned so much from our time with Helen, and we were ready to embrace the next chapter with renewed energy and purpose. One afternoon, while working at the center, Lisa approached me with a thoughtful look. "Jack, I've been thinking about expanding our services even further. What if we introduced a program for children and teens? A place where they can learn about wellness, resilience, and emotional health?" I smiled, impressed by her vision. "That's a fantastic idea, Lisa. Our own journey has shown us how important it is to start building those skills early. Let's do it. We began planning the new program, collaborating with educators, therapists, and community leaders to create a comprehensive curriculum. The response was overwhelmingly positive, and soon we had a vibrant new addition to our center. One evening, as we sat on the porch watching Ethan play in the yard, Lisa turned to me with a contented sigh. It feels like everything is finally falling into place. The center is thriving, Mom is doing well, and we're building something beautiful together. I wrapped my arm around her, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. We've been through so much, but it's all led us here. I'm grateful for every step of the journey. As the months passed, our lives settled into a harmonious rhythm. The Wellness Center became a beacon of hope and support for families, and our programs flourished. Ethan grew and thrived, his curiosity and joy a constant source of inspiration. One evening, as we put Ethan to bed, Lisa and I sat down for one of our dream sessions. "I've been thinking about our future," Lisa said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "What if we expanded the Wellness Center to other communities? There are so many families who could benefit from our programs." The idea was ambitious, but it resonated deeply with me. "I love it, Lisa. We've seen firsthand how much of a difference it can make. Let's start planning." We began researching potential locations and connecting with community leaders in other areas. The process was challenging, but our shared vision and determination kept us moving forward. One day, as we were finalizing plans for our first expansion, I received a call from Tom. "Jack, I have some exciting news," he said. "Rebecca and I are expecting another baby, and we'd love for you and Lisa to be godparents again." I felt a surge of joy and pride. "That's wonderful news, Tom. We'd be honored." Celebrating Tom and Rebecca's news reminded us of how far we had come. Our journey, filled with ups and downs, had brought us to a place of joy and fulfillment. The connections we had built, the challenges we had overcome, and the dreams we had realized all contributed to the beautiful life we were creating. As we prepared to expand the Wellness Center, we knew there would be new challenges and opportunities ahead, but we faced the future with confidence, knowing that our love, resilience, and shared vision would guide us through. One evening, as we sat on the porch watching the sunset, Lisa turned to me with a contented smile. "Jack, I'm so grateful for everything we've built together. I can't wait to see what the future holds." I took her hand, feeling a deep sense of contentment. "Me too, Lisa. We've come so far, and there's so much more to come. As long as we have each other, we can achieve anything." Together, we embraced the future, ready to continue building our dreams and supporting each other every step of the way. Our journey was far from over, but we faced it with hope, love, and the unshakable belief that together we could conquer anything.